5 mistakes that stand in between you and that satisfying flex handwriting. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host Aaron from Penventure. Welcome to a new tips and tricks video in which we're going to explore 5 mistakes that stand in between you and that satisfying flex handwriting that you see online everywhere on YouTube. And I do strongly believe that if you consider these 5 mistakes, you're going to have a very, very good approach on the choice of a nib, the expectations from that, and also the satisfying result that comes with following some advices and steer away of these 5 mistakes. So let's use the time wisely and not make this video too long, and let's get right into the first mistake that people do when using flex nibs. Ding ding ding, and the prize goes to rushing into full flex before developing your sense of the actual limits of the flex nib. Huge mistake. Because people rush into full flex. They do want that satisfying sensation when they see line variation, insane flow, and a gorgeous technique. And they do want to accomplish that first day as they get to unpack the fountain pen. They just get something with a flexible nib and they just go into full flex. No, you need to be very careful and not go into full flex from the first moment. Depending on the choice of nib, like for example, if you go with something which is a steel flexible nib, like the one that you see right here with a longer cut slit, and this is done in order to allow those 2 tines to spread apart a little bit more easier than a normal complete slit steel nib. That has a specific rigidity. This hinders you from applying too much pressure and over flexing. It's not going to be stopping you from over flexing and bending that nib. It's going to have a proper limit, which is going to allow you the comfort to get a feel for and to maybe develop a technique where you know the limitation of this material. But if you choose to have like a gold nib, that is softer. You need to have a more gentler approach to it, and the pressure you apply on the nib and the way that nib is going to be following your hand in motion when you flex, and the actual limits of that gold nib is going to be different from the steel nib. Now if you go with something which is like this Leonardo right here with an 8 nib, which is titanium. Well, titanium is soft, but it doesn't have that specific whoa, stop before it's too late. That specific sense where the nib, it's gonna tell you that you need to stop applying too much pressure, because from that point on, it's gonna bend and it's not gonna be coming back together. So you need to develop your sense. This takes time, experience, and practice. And you need to have patience. Don't go into full flex before learning the limitation of that nib and that nib material and what do you try to do with it. A little bit gentler as an approach. Do not apply too much pressure. Go easy. This could save you funds in not ruining your nibs, and it could save you from putting flex off, because if you bend a very expensive nib, you could just say like, I give up on flexing and I don't want to have that. So before rushing into full flex, try to understand what are the limitations of the nib that you want to flex. Let's go to mistake number 2. To put it shortly, improper technique when flexing. And as short as this may be, it's actually a huge factor in regards of the overall way that you are going to obtain the results that you want to have when flexing. So the technique needs to be developed, and there is some things that are just simply rules, like you don't go and do differently than those, because the result will be none. If you get the basics on point, then you can actually build your own spin on these techniques, and you can actually develop your own style in flexing. And this is a cool challenge which I dare you to go along and to just play in. One of the most basic rules in flexing is the way that you align the nib when flexing. You don't ever apply pressure on an upwards stroke. No, you actually apply pressure downwards when you go in a downstroke. So you can clearly see that aligning the nib at an angle, it's not going to work effectively to produce flex. So the pressure must be evenly distributed, and you need to hold the fountain pen straight like this. Build on the basic stuff like flexing only on a downstroke, not with the nib tilted like this, not with the nib tilted like this, and then you can actually get to put your own spin on it. And when you flourish and when you do those curvatures and everything, then you can add a little bit of your own spin to that. And let me show you how I would have just used this basic techniques in regards of writing a specific word. Here is a good example of how I would have used this basic stuff to write the word beautiful. So we're gonna write only beauty because so a little bit of a smudge here. You will see that only on the downstrokes I applied pressure and got those 2 times to spread apart and add more ink and a thicker line. So build on the basics, learn the proper technique, and then you will see that you will get more and more results. Mistake number 3, insane line variation. When you aim to get that super big line variation, things go wrong. Because when you have a flex nib, it is one of the most interesting experiences if you start to build on the experience itself, as you learn its limitations, as you build on your technique, as you learn the basic techniques and the rules in flexing, then you can start to ask for more when it comes to that line variation. I don't want to have a nib that goes from extra fine to quadruple broad when riding, because that is not something sustainable. It is just like a race car. If you want to go like a lap on a circuit, you have some fine and that's it. You put it away in the garage and you store it. But if you want to have something like this to write in a journal daily, like full-blown sentences, pages, many pages in a day, I don't see it sustainable to have a nib that goes from something like a very, very extra fine point to something quadruple broad. Yeah, it's fun to try it for a specific sentence, word, signature, to write something nice, and I can show you that. But in regards of having that every day, all of the time, just a thirst for super big line variation all the time, I think it's a huge mistake to make. If you want to develop this handwriting style, aiming for super big line variation all of the time, it is something which I consider to be just like a mistake. So this could be something considered to be as normal flex. And I'm going to use beauty as a word. So this is something that goes from something like extra fine to a medium plus-ish, and this is sustainable. This is something that you can build on, have fun, do this, write for a half a page, a sentence, a nice message, a quote, something to leave for someone at the office, your colleague, and you can show off. Let me show you a good example of what it means to have an insane line variation, which I consider to be just a mistake if you constantly aim for that look, for that style. This is insane. And this is obtained with a flex modded nib, which is made from gold. It is very, very soft, and it will put down something from extra fine-ish to a triple plus broad. As you can clearly see, it is not sustainable. It comes with railroading, it comes with a huge ink volume, it's going to be messy, it's gonna take like hours to dry, and yeah, it's fun, but I consider to be just simply a mistake if you constantly aim for this. Mistake number 4, to have unrealistic expectations when it comes to the smoothness and the feel in flexing. This is where a lot of you get it wrong. a flex nib will not feel smooth. I mean, it can feel smoother or a little bit more forgiving when it is used in flexing, but it will be far from that normal extra fine or way more far from something like a medium or so nib, because, well, when you flex, you open up the tines like this and those two tipping balls will start to rub on the page and you will get to feel more and more of all of that structure of the paper, the top layer of the paper. So it will probably feel for a lot of you as being scratchy. Well, actually, when you flex a nib, it's supposed to be scratchy, or it's supposed to feel like it's scratchy. That is not a universal rule, but you have to understand that when performing this flexible handwriting, you are going to be steering away from the normal feel of a nib. This is something which I consider to be a mistake if you expect to have a nib in flexing just to have the same feel like a normal medium-ish nib in normal writing without any pressure. So keep that in mind. And mistake number 5, practice time. We all know it takes practice, but when you just spend like 2 or 3 hours in practicing flex writing, depending on the nib, but I do strongly believe that this is true even for gold nibs, you'll get your hands to cramp up. You become more and more frustrated because the results are not there. And by actually extending the periods in which you write in flexing, probably this will make you have the backwards results that you may expect, because you will be frustrated, your hands will become tired, numb, and then you will just put flexing away. This is not for me. Well, in reality, you need to have a different approach. I would just try to nail on like a specific word. From that point, get into a sentence and just practice like you write down a specific page in your journal, and at the end you want to have like a nice flourishing word. Go with that. So that is practice. 2, 3, 4 times, try to flex on that word. As you develop more and more and you get the feel for it, then you will start to have longer practice sessions and you will get more and more results, basically. And I believe this is the 5 mistakes that people do when it comes to using flex nibs. And these mistakes, I do believe if you avoid them, you will get sooner, quicker, or more closer to that end goal. You having one of those satisfying, calligraphical, flourishing, flex handwriting. Thank you very much. I hope this video was useful. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you have any questions, use the comment section down below. I'll be more than happy to answer all of your questions. If you find value in this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. This will help me a lot with the YouTube algorithm and everything else. If you look forward to get your first pen or your next pen, scroll down, you'll find the details for our website, our social media accounts, phone number, email, anything and everything that you may need in order to get in contact with me, and I will help you with that specific purchase. Support the growth of the Pen Venture YouTube channel and do that by subscribing. If you're not subscribed, just click there, turn on the notification bell on, and you will be notified whenever we have new content. Speaking about content, if you want to continue watching my previous videos, I'm going to leave you this right here. You can click and enjoy. As always, I'm your host from Pen Venture. I look forward to seeing you next video. Take care, stay safe, have fun flexing. Bye-bye.